Hollywood's biggest night is officially wrapped up, and this year's Oscars delivered plenty of memorable moments, from major wins to some surprise snubs and some standout red carpet fashion. We're talking about it all this morning. Joining us live now to break it all down is film and TV critic Lauren Veneziani from DCFilmGirl.com. Lauren, thank you so much for joining us.
Of course, I'm always happy to chat about movies and TV and especially the Oscars because this is my Super Bowl, okay?
Yeah, lots of fun, lots of good fashion, lots of big winners. So let's get right into it. What stood out for you most from last night's award shows?
Yeah, it was honestly such a fun show to watch. I definitely think the Sinners performance from Miles Canton, Misty Copeland, and Shabuzi, who is a Woodbridge, Virginia native, by the way, it was incredible. The I Lied to You song, I loved, and of course, I loved seeing, the K-pop Demon Hunters ladies perform Golden. Definitely a fun watch. And of course, the Bridesmaid cast reuniting to present Best Sound and Score. Love those ladies. And also another major highlight was Autumn Duraud Archipel, who she was the first female cinematographer to win in the Best Cinematography category for Sinners. First time a female has ever won in that category. And there was, really moving tribute to late director Rob Reiner, which was really sweet. I was pretty much right on all of my predictions, except for Best Picture. I assumed that maybe One Battle After Another was going to win, but I predicted Sinners. But the acting categories, I did get right. Kind of one of the weird things, though, is that Sean Penn was not in attendance to accept for Best Supporting Actor, which kind of made me roll my eyes. As much as I loved him as Lockjaw in One Battle After Another, I sort of wish at that point it did just go to someone who would have appreciated it, like Jacob Elordi or Delroy Lindo or somebody else in the category. But the biggest highlight for me was Michael B. Jordan winning Best Actor for Sinners. He absolutely deserved it. His speech was really sweet. Everybody was so happy for him. And then, of course, Nicole Kidman and Ewan McGregor reuniting 25 years later after Moulin Rouge to present for Best Picture, which, of course, went to One Battle After Another. One Battle After Another also won Best Director. So definitely a huge night for both One Battle After Another and Sinners. They took home, so many awards.
Lauren, for you, what were some of the big surprises this year? I mean, we saw some of the movies and these stars we expected them to win. What about those big surprises? Some things you weren't really expecting.
Well, so Marty Supreme was nominated, not I think it was nominated for 9 different Oscars and, took home 0, which, it does happen. It does happen a lot. A lot of a film will get so many different nominations, but then it won't end up taking home any. Who knows if Timothy Chalamet's, comments,
Right.
affected him. I will say Conan O'Brien, host Conan O'Brien did give him some words in the beginning. It's very clear the industry did not care for what he had to say. And you're seeing Paul Thomas Anderson there winning for Best Director. I think he's been nominated over a dozen times, and this is the first time he's won for screenplay and director. So that was fun to see. But yeah, I mean, sometimes a film will have so many nominations and then take home not anything. Also, the in memoriam tribute was really beautiful, but they did leave out a couple of actors like Eric Dane and James Vanderbeek. I don't know if it was forgotten or if they are planning on including them next year. It happens every year where an actor does get left out of there, but those seem to be like two pretty big ones. But yeah, the performances were great. I will say, sometimes the show does feel a little long. I'm invested in it. At
Hmm.
sometimes, it does feel long, but I was still very happy with it. And of course, getting to the end, seeing Nicole Kidman and Ewan McGregor together, Moulin Rouge is one of my favorite movies of all time. So I loved that moment. But yeah, like I think that, Timothy Chalamet's comments kind of maybe affected him, and Marty Supreme didn't take home any Oscars.
Yeah,
So
I'm sure he's thinking about what he said there because a lot of people have been talking about it. And if it impacted him or the movie winning any of those Oscars, I'm sure he's really, thinking hard and long about what he said.
yes.
Before we let you go, we do have to ask about the fashion. This is just such a big
Oh my
part of
gosh.
this award show. So, who is your pick for best and then worst looks of the red carpet, too?
I mean, obviously, Best Dressed, Nicole Kidman in Chanel. Obviously, here is Arden Show of K-pop Demon Hunters. I thought she looked fantastic. There's Renate Rensive of Sentimental Value in a Louis Vuitton gown. Timothy Chalamet. I love Timmy and I love a monochrome outfit. I don't think that this one suited him well. I did love
Hmm.
Elle Fanning's gown here. I thought she looked absolutely fantastic. I don't know if I'd have to say like a worst. I'd have to really look back. I think that everyone is kind of, unique in their own way. I did, like I said, Nicole Kidman in her Chanel gown I was obsessed with.
She looked
And and
fantastic.
Tiana Taylor, I think, was also wearing Chanel, and I loved her gown so much.
And Nicole Kidman just seems to be aging in reverse. Every time
I
we see
know.
her, she looks better and better and better.
And she's my favorite interview I've ever
Oh,
done out of
wow.
everyone. And she's just so, so lovely and such a girl's girl and so sweet. But yes, I'm definitely going to be
And
doing a
so
best dressed
talented.
recap on my Instagram at DC Film Girl later today.
Awesome. All right, we can join you there. I want to tell us one more time where people can check that out.
Yes, at DC Film Girl on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and my YouTube's dcfilmgirl.com.
All right, thank you so much, Lauren
Thank
Veneziani,
you.
joining us this morning to talk all things Oscars.